Hi, welcome everyone to the public live stream of the infrastructure group conversation for October 8th, 2020. We have the slides linked out of the agenda and some questions starting in there. If you're just joining and looking for some highlights, on slide 3, we're talking about a trend of availability consistently improving. On slide 5, we've got a section in there about introducing air budgets and our plans for Q4 going forward there. And then on slide 7, a deep dive into the topic of continuous deployment progress. And that'll be kind of our deep dive item for this month. So with no further ado, Nicholas, thanks for submitting the first question. If you want to go ahead and verbalize that.
First question is just a thanks to the delivery and infrastructure team. So when I joined 1 year ago, the deployments to the GitLab.com were just like once a week. And now we are at like 12 hours. This is incredible work that you've done. So thanks. It motivates engineers as well to see their work sooner live on GitLab.com. And yeah, to go forward with my second question, an actual question. So in, I think the third slide, you mentioned that you want to do automated deployments and automated rollbacks. And I'm curious if you could share a bit or elaborate which indicators you want to use to make these automated decisions.
I think that I can take this. So right now we are in a phase that we are calling assisted deployment. So we don't automate decision, but we inform release manager that it's a good time to start a deployment. So we, with help of Andrew, we have worked with basically our AppDex and error rate metrics. And we built a single metrics that is more sensible than the one that we're using for waking up engineering on call. So we are more sensitive than what we do for paging someone. And basically, after a baking time, so you have canary deployment, you have 1 hour where we monitor what's happening. And after 1 hour, we check the status. If the system is healthy in terms of how many errors we have and the AppDex, then we can continue with the deployment. And rollback will behave more or less the same. We kind of think about having waves of deployment. So after 10% of the 10% of the fleet, we check again and we compare the status of the fleet running the new version with the fleet running the old version. And if everything is fine, we continue with the deployment. Otherwise, we stop and eventually we roll back.
Thanks. That makes sense.
Hi, this is Francis Potter. I have the next question. First off, thank you all for all the amazing work that you do to keep GitLab.com up and running and performant and reliable. It serves all of us every day, and we don't thank you enough and we don't think about you enough. So thank you so much. My question is about Tonka. It's mentioned on slide 14. It seems like a kind of more advanced kubectl type of thing, and I'm just curious as to how well that's working for you. And those of us in other parts of the company who use Kubernetes, is that something we should be learning about?
Thanks, I'll take that. And then I'll probably hand off to Craig Furman, who's the IC, who's been working on bringing this blueprint forward for using Tonka. It's not something that would replace any of the Helm charts. This is tangential to. It's just a benefit of having some serialization for input that dries out a lot of the boilerplate templating that we have to use for Helm files and other charts. So far it's going really well. We've found some advantages to using it, to just all the additional YAML that comes with Kubernetes, but we're not being prescriptive about where else it should be used, and probably not even recommending that. This is for a internal operational Kubernetes cluster that we use to host a lot of our observability tooling, and that's the extent of it. So it's not actually managing any of the GitLab.com hosted platform, just tooling that we use to operate and monitor that platform. And then I'll ask Craig to weigh in as someone much closer to the keyboard on this.
Sure. Yeah, essentially what Anthony said is exactly correct. I should have mentioned in my written answer that we are not using it to deploy any GitLab core components themselves, so the Rails app or any of its auxiliary pieces. it's also far, like from my point of view, it's also far too early for me to want to really evangelize it. But I wouldn't be surprised if in a few months my praise is more effusive. It's a real breath of fresh air so far compared to Helm. So yeah, if folks are interested, I'd encourage them to read the blueprint, comment on it, and yeah, we'll keep you updated the more we use it.
Nice, thank you.
Thank you. Sid, you have the next question?
Yeah, we're in progress of moving the stateless services to the Helm chart. I'm not aware what will happen to the stateful services. Are we moving that to the Helm chart and the operator too, or what's the plan there?
I'll verbalize. So yes, we'll move that, but we didn't create plans yet. So earlier today, I was talking with Amy specifically about this, and we have a task to create an overview of order and how are we thinking about it so that we can set the plan going forward after we migrate to the stateless services.
Thanks. I think an interesting opportunity is we used to have the GitLab orchestrator framework that was too complex. We're already making Terraform charts or Terraform, I'm not sure what they're called, for our customers. I think we should double down on that. We should use them for our customers, for our reference architecture, and for GitLab.com. So I hope we can start using the same Terraform scripts all throughout the company.
I think I'm trying to remember myself, but I think like Terraform templates or whatever. I don't know if there's any other comments from the team about how we see those kind of playing out and being able to be more widely used in the future. Because I know we certainly deal with them a lot. So maybe just asking here if there's other comments on that.
Way in from the demo system side, because I see it quite a bit across the company. You know, we use them within our demo environment, obviously, to power that. I know that the SRE team's using them to power GitLab.com. Is
I can hear someone talk, but it sounds really far away.
Is this better, Sid?
Slightly.
Hold on.
Bump up the volume.
There we go. Is this better?
Yep.
Perfect. Sorry, switching mics. We use them on their demo systems quite a bit, but right now I've been doing a lot of visibility across the company, what we see and where the Terraform is being used at. And there's 6 different initiatives that I know about, and there's probably more that I don't know about. But one of the things that I'm starting to see quite a bit of is the idea of standards for security practices and getting those aligned before we start using them everywhere. I've been working with different members of the infrastructure team on that, but one of the things we're seeing quite a bit of is our customers are asking about Terraform. Our partners are looking, how can they spin up their own environments? So I think that beyond just the scope of what our infrastructure team is doing to power what GitLab is currently running on in terms of our platform, we are going to end up with a curated community library of Terraform modules, and modules is the word you're probably looking for in the very near future. And so that's something I'm definitely been keeping my eyes on from the side that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and I want to make sure that we're all getting on the same page, because until recently the plan was, oh, we'll just develop something new. Look, we already have customers on certain modules. We're going to extend those modules to make sure we can use them ourselves too, so we don't end up on 5 different things for everyone. Everyone was developing their own, and we need to get it together. And it feels a bit like getting to the same code base for GitLab.com. Huge project, but it will pay dividends for many years in the future.
All right, thanks for offering that, Jeff. And Cherry, you have the next question?
Yeah, I didn't see in the deck, and I assume it fall under this work, the integrate migration to Cloudflare. There was an epic I was tracking, and then it showed phase 1, phase 2, then phase 1's all done. Phase 2, I couldn't track the status. That's where I thought I would ask the question here.
Sure, and I'll go ahead and take this. I linked the top level epic where we were grouping all of the move the things to Cloudflare work. And I think I was trying to answer that at a higher level because there's a lot to migrating everything to Cloudflare. There's also other assets beyond just GitLab.com. We also have the license and subscription apps and things like that that we're planning to move over. And I didn't know if your question was encompassing that too, or if it was just the migration of the GitLab.com application.
Yeah, it's .com. Most questions relate to the security or lockdown IP for enterprise customers that get onto GitLab.com by running runners on Prime. So I got questions on, our practice,
Okay.
how to, lock down to specific IP and port, and also our denial of service attack type of practice.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, most of GitLab.com is now fronted by Cloudflare. On that, I think, the specific questions about runners are things we probably want to take offline and make sure we're having the specific conversations with customers about that. But yeah, GitLab.com is fronted by Cloudflare from that DDoS perspective and other WAF protections. A lot of that is in place, but even there, we're continuing to iterate. Turning on a WAF is not just flipping a switch as much as an evolving state of rules. So yeah, we are continuing to do improvement there, but it's moved into just project work from that maybe isn't as directly tied to that epic, and just kind of making sure we're making continuous improvements. And that now also is working a lot with the security incident response team and other teams there to make sure that we're both working together on helping improve whatever directions we need to go there.
Yeah, thank you for the update. I want to echo what Francis said. I really want to thank the whole team and the effort. I see the slide 3 showing the availability. That is amazing. And, our .com has been fairly stable. And we did receive a few complaints a while back from some of the customers on .com. But now it looks quite good. Keep up the good work. Thank you for that.
I think everybody on Info says thanks. Thank you.
Okay, Sid, you're next.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of great dogfooding initiatives in infrastructure. It's super great. We're setting up Jaeger. One thing that never got dogfooded much was our APM functionality. Not by infrastructure, but even like our customers and users can use it. So we no longer have a monitor APM team. The current monitoring team is focusing on incidents, which are getting traction, I think also from the infrastructure team. But that change is also an opportunity. It means the field is wide open. And now I recognize that using Grafana would be much more time efficient for the infrastructure team. But I wonder whether we can have an effort to just start building inside GitLab the functionality that the infrastructure team needs. Right now, no one's focused on it. It has low usage, so it won't get a lot of community contributions. So I don't mind the infrastructure team just building in GitLab monitor APM what they need to monitor GitLab on ops.gitlab.net, and then have that as a way to kind of push monitor APM forward, because it continues to be a very attractive market, and we haven't found our way into it yet.
Yeah, thanks, Sid, for that. I guess I'll just say, I mean, it is an interesting idea of kind of how we can move forward on APM. Honestly, I think it probably end up coming down to just that, always that balance of, is there another dogfooding effort where, we can continue to spend more engagement? Maybe that's in incident management, maybe it's in the work that's going on with Jaeger, maybe it's, in another effort, or should we dedicate some, probably what would be larger effort, since there isn't active development going on here, to partner up with into this. And so I think if there was a lot of excitement around doing it, a lot of engagement on it, I don't think we'd want to stand in the way of doing that. But I think, I don't know, my feeling, at least right now, is initially that probably wouldn't happen. But I think, it's certainly not something that we, that the answer would always be no on, and we want to balance that against all the other projects and stuff. That's a very I realize that's a hand wavy kind of answer. And so interested, Andrew, you've got some insight as well. So.
Yeah, just to add to what you said, Steve, like I think, you know, in infrastructure, all the monitoring that we've done is focused on monitoring a GitLab instance. And there's some ideas and some effort to take what we've done. I mean, nothing's been written yet, but there are definitely some ideas about how we can take what we've done to monitor GitLab.com and put that monitoring into the application. And up to now, what's happened is every now and again, we've kind of taken a cut of what we've done and put it into the product. And then it kind of gets stale and doesn't change very often. Whereas the monitoring on GitLab.com, we change it like on a daily basis. We're updating it and tuning it and iterating, but the product doesn't get those features. And so like, I think that, you know, we could helping out with self-monitoring, but like as a general APM product or monitoring product, like, you know, we don't have the product direction. I don't know. It feels like that would be too generic for what the infrastructure team does.
Yeah, so the nice thing is right now there is no product direction. No one's working on it. You're not in the way of any PM, of any designers. So you have the full authority to just build GitLab APM monitoring to monitor GitLab well. It's all about self-monitoring. And my bet is that if we're really good at monitoring GitLab with GitLab, a lot of the APM functionality you need to monitor other applications is already there. Right now, there's just not enough depth in the functionality. Like you can't zoom in enough, you can't link enough, you can't embed enough, you can't set triggers enough. Like, I'm not sure the examples are right, but it's just all those little things you have in Grafana, but not in GitLab, are holding people back. And you now have carte blanche, whatever it is. Blank check, change it as you see fit. If all that GitLab APM does is monitor GitLab well 1 year from now, I think it would be a major advancement and achievement. We have never made a part of GitLab popular without using it ourselves. So that is step one. And so you don't care, forget about what other people need out of it. Just build it as you see fit. And I'd love to see ops.gitlab.net deployed every 5 minutes because we need a new monitoring functionality on a daily basis.
But a lot of what we're doing is kind of building recording rules and alerting rules and that side of things. And I think if I'm understanding you correctly, Sid, like a lot of what we'd need to be doing is building like user interface and charting libraries. And, you know, charting libraries are notoriously hard to write and they're a lot of work and they need a lot of JavaScript, which is not something that we as a team have a lot of expertise in, for example. And so that's the, you know, the logic behind the monitoring we're really good at, but building UX and UI and front ends is not something that we have great skills in this team.
Yeah, well, let's start with the willingness. There's never been it's always been forced upon you. This is the first chance to like have it your way, but come with a plan and say what you're missing. And there is room, I'll create room for 1 or 2 people who are great at charting to augment you there. We can, this is a big market. This is a big opportunity. The money is there. Think about not like, oh, okay, we just make a copy, gets it off our back, and we just go on and go to our Grafana ways. Think about really using it and what you need. Let us know, let me know what you need to genuinely do this, and I'll make sure those people will come help. I'm sure it will be fewer people than a complete team, which is like 10 to 12 people. I think we can do it with fewer people, and I think it will be a great bang for the buck because then we have a shot at an enormous market.
So I'm actually writing out a proposal at the moment. We've got all of the service level indicators and SLOs and SLAs, and they, like I said, they're built outside of the product. But one of the problems with that is that there's no like development ownership of those SLIs where there should be. We're taking the metrics that they emit and then we build SLIs around them. What would be much better is if the development teams built those SLIs into the product. And I'm writing a proposal at the moment to do that. And we could possibly look at using that and then kind of having a way to visualize those as well. Something to think about.
Yeah, and we continue to have really big customers that under provision their hardware or run it on a big NFS server, stuff like that, where it's a really horrible experience for the millions of GitLab users. So shipping this in the product, you not only make the SLOs of GitLab.com better, but you make the SLOs of the other 25 million estimated registered users better. And I think that's a giant opportunity for impact.
Well, I think at the least, I mean, the offer of figuring out how to make a little bit of room and potentially, augmenting with some of the things that, when I think about it, just seem daunting to make necessarily a lot of, progress on in some of the, especially the front end elements and everything. But if there's a way that we can kind of bridge that gap, and I think that's what you're offering there. If we basically discuss it and kind of come with some ass and maybe an idea of what we might be able to accomplish. I mean, that's a fair ask. I think we can do that. I mean, the answer may be that we come back and say that, hey, look, this really doesn't look like something we can make progress on. But we should, we should be open to the opportunity that the answer is something different.
Yeah, well, look, I'm pretty sure if we acquire Grafana tomorrow, that you can make it work. That might be a bit costly. So find a balance between one person and acquiring another company, and think about what you need and what the impact would be.
All right, thank you for the question and for offering the opportunity on that. We're let's see, I think we're down to just the last couple minutes. Any last questions from anyone you just want to verbalize?
Steve, I have one, and it's very tactical. When I look at your OKRs from Q3, there was a lot of focus on efficiency of GitLab.com, and I could not easily discern which of the three groups you outlined, reliability, scalability, and I'm now forgetting the other one, delivery, which one is responsible for cost efficiency on GitLab.com?
Yeah, so really infrastructure, there are portions of that overall infrastructure is responsible for, and everyone kind of has a part in that. Much of that is driven through what we call the InfraFriend process. And the main kind of coordinator of that is Davis Townsend. I think Davis is on, and so if there's a question about that, he's the guy to hit up. But really, the effort is across infrastructure, and for that matter, across all engineering and product as well. So.
Okay. Yeah, our product groups are becoming much more focused on how we're delivering our services to GitLab.com efficiently. So I didn't know if I know Davis and I've worked with him. I didn't know if there was another contact other than Davis, but he's our point of contact for each of the product groups.
He's a one-man show driving.
All right. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you for that question. And if others have questions about kind of spend efficiency and spend metrics and all of that, Davis is definitely the guy to become friends with. So thanks for everyone's time today. Have a great